forth, straight to the dance floor, no passport. Take you on tour, let's transport straight to the course. I can't wait to see how you move. Sound waves, but I'm still in tune. Head rest, but I keep my cool. But we still getting hotter than the stove top. When the bass go boom, make your head rock. Married to the rhythm, it's a wedlock. Now we got the whole party in a headlock.
You see the sparks are flying. Let's get this thing ignited. This heat gon' start a fire. This heat gon' start a fire.
We gon' light it up. 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 We gon' light it up.
You ain't never seen nobody do it like me. Looking like a million, better give me my feet. Know I make it hot, but I'm still icy. Neck on froze, looking like an icy. They know what it is by the way that I talk. All eyes on me by the way that I walk. My feet don't move if the beat don't knock. I'ma go to work, I don't need no clock. I move my body to the left and the right. We get real loose, but the dress fits tight. Whole party going up, we about to take flight. It's about to be a show, better hit the lights.
You see the sparks are flying. Let's get this thing ignited. This heat gon' start a fire. This heat gon' start a fire.
We gon' light it up. We gon' light it up. We gon' light it up. We gon' light it up.
Hello everyone. How you doing? Exciting news. And I've got the chat up and I've got the sound on and you can see me, so that's great. Let me just quickly go through the comments we've got so far. So Eugene McGeever, there you go, says highly happy holidays indeed. Dalek just says, hey Lee, when are you going to come to the brew room quiz again? It's the Christmas quiz on Monday. We must go again. We really enjoyed it. Got to arrange it all. Things have just been really busy, but we will definitely go again. Reading 2, Luton 1 in League One tonight. Oh, blimey. Right, okay, they're getting their act together, aren't they? Reading since the Beatles. Right, okay, exciting news for everyone. I got invited. Got invited to the fans sort of forum-y thing with Ian Evatt. There was Ian Evatt, Crainey, Stephen Dobbie and Steve Banks were the guests. And I was invited by the club. They actually sent me a message saying, would you like to come? Probably because they were sick of hearing me moaning about the fact that I'm never invited, but I was invited anyway. I only said one thing. You know, there was a question answer thing. I couldn't really think of any good questions. But the one thing I did mention was the fact that Blackpool FC, you know, typically ruin my Christmases, and they've been doing that since I was a young boy, always losing at Christmas, very rarely winning, you know, and I just said, please be aware of that, Evo, and please give us some wins over Christmas so I can bring some joyful videos. I'm not crying on them and I'm not depressed and all that sort of stuff. So hopefully they listened and they're aware of the hoodoo now. I've put it in there. I've placed it into their minds that there's this hoodoo. And Evatt did say that, you know, we're breaking things that, you know, people say, oh, you can never win at Rotherham. We've run at Rotherham, you know. So, you know, maybe this is the year that they break the Christmas hoodoo. Anyway, I've planted the seed. Hopefully that gets passed on. But I'm sure you all want to know what sort of things were said. I don't know if there's anybody here in the stream yet. Please let me know in the comments if you're here and if you would like to, to know what they said. So if you're listening, please tell me, post in the comments, just say, you know, come on, Lee, spill the beans. What was said at the meeting? I'm waiting for you all to start, you know, commenting. I've actually got anybody other than Eugene in. We've got Darlickshire, we've got Eugene. Who else have we got in this chat? Let's have a quick little look. Right, well, there's 15 hardy souls in here at the moment. So, Semi-Charm Life's here. Greetings, Lee, and everyone. And happy holidays, it says Semi-Charm Life. Okay, I kind of need to start, don't I? Eugene McGeever wants to hear. Yes, you want to hear. Anybody else? Post yes if you want to hear what was said at the meeting tonight. I'll tell you all about it. Tell you all the good stuff. It was I've got to say, it was a very positive meeting, and it was really upbeat, and it felt great to be there. There was a lot of positivity in the room. I think everybody, he's pretty excited about Evo. He's doing a pretty good job so far. there was a few things said. I'm going to go through them with you. From what I can remember, I made some little notes on my phone so I could remember some of the things that were said. Damien Coughlin's here. Hello, Damien. Hi. Right, so let's start off. The first thing that Evo said, one of the most... the things he said is there's a TV, there's something on Netflix. If you've got Netflix, we ought to put our hands up. If we had Netflix, of course I've got Netflix. You know, we're always binge watching Netflix. But he said there's something you have to watch on Netflix. And it's a 25-minute documentary, and it's called The Turnaround. So that's for all Blackpool fans, that's your homework from Ian Evatt. You've got to watch The Turnaround. I don't know much about it. I just know that it was what happened somewhere with the fans that made the club turn around. David Turner's here. Hello, David. How are you doing? Eugene McGeever said, is there a video about the meeting? I wasn't allowed, of course, to record anything, but they were filming it. So there will be a video coming from the club. It'll probably be on, I don't know whether they'll put it on Tangerine TV or whether they'll actually just put it on the YouTube channel for you all to see. Girl Boys Backyard, hi, how are you doing? Good win for you. Defeat tonight. Was it Reading beat you 2-1? What's going on down there? Anyway, tonight, it's exciting. So that's the first thing. That's your homework. If you've missed the start of this, I did take some notes. I did actually take notes on my phone. So yeah, so you've got to watch The Turnaround on Netflix. That's the first thing. And somebody asked, it may have been Phil, I mean, it's all very professional. Phil Corbett comes on. Phil Corbett, Yorkshire Seasiders. Raggy comes on. David Ragazzino, MSG. Andy Higgins goes on. Andy Higgins, BST, Armfield Club. And when I come on, it's Lee Charles of Lee Charles TV. I'm representing all of you guys out there who watch this. So representing all of Lee Charles TV fans, I was representing you tonight. Oh, Cool Boys Backyard. Oh, sorry, yes, you're from Nuneaton Borough, of course. Yeah, sorry, I'm getting you confused with the guy from... Sorry about that, do apologise. We're talking today, there was a fans forum where we met Ian Evatt and we met Stephen Crainey and we met Stephen Dobbie and Steve Back, all the Steves, and Ian Evatt, and it was positive. Yes, representing you guys. So, somebody asked, I think it was Phil Corbett, very professionally, Phil Corbett, Yorkshire Seasiders, are we going to be strengthening the team? Because, you know, we kind of think, you know, we need strengthening. It's coming up, the January transfer windows. You know, they asked him, has he got any, like, targets in mind? He was, you know, he was basically saying he would like to strengthen by 3 players. Three he would like. So, that's his goal, 3 players. He just, Oh, Eugene McGeever, it's now 2-2 at Reading. Just you turn that game off, it's 2-2. Well, you better hear. It's more fun here. You can talk to me, you can't talk to the TV. So that's the thing. So Evatt's after 3, strengthening with 3 players, which is good. Right now. If you watch my video on Saturday, Pickle was kind of saying that he didn't feel the team, you know, were getting on. That was his opinion. They were arguing over something. There was a bit of an argument with, I think it was, I can't remember, was it Bloxham and somebody else? Anyway, there was a bit of an argument after something went on. And Pickle was saying this team don't look like, you know, they're gelling, they're not together. And yet Crainey says, and he said this, and he said he's not just saying it to us for the sake of saying us, but Crainey says this group of players are the most together players he has seen since his time being a player in the fantastic team with you know, Holloway's team, the Premier League team. He says, you know, this team are so together, he can't believe it. So that's Pickle, shut up. So I can, when we go, next one I'm out with Pickle, I'm going to put him in his place. I'm going to tell him this team, Crainey says, they're the most together they've ever been. So that's good news, isn't it? They're all together. Yes, I suppose that will be boy. Oh, gosh, Reading is winning now 3-2 over Luton Town. Oh, you're missing a great game to come and watch. This. Anyway, right, moving on. So that was the next thing. So Crainey says this team are together. They're really together. And that's the kind of thing we want to hear, isn't it? Right, now something he did mention. He said that the young players of today don't have the same sort of resilience to cope with criticism like players of his era did, and probably players of Matthews were probably even made of much stronger stuff. We're not made of iron. Obviously, these young kids nowadays are not made of iron, and what he wants the team to play with is this sort of freedom to attack without any fear, and freedom to play football without fear. And he did mention to us that we need to be, as fans, if we can, to not criticise all the time, and be shouting at the players, because we will then create a problem where they're passing back and they're doing safe moves rather than taking the gamble, because we can create a fear within them to not play without fear. And I kind of thought that was pretty important. I do hear people shouting some stuff around me, and it can be quite abusive and quite horrible and nasty to them. And at the end of the day, I think that's what, as fans, I agree with that. I think as fans, we've got to be like we were. And I've said this many, many, many times, that Blackpool fans are not quite as sort of loud. They're not quite as behind the team. I know we've been through hell, and that's, and when we were going, up into the Championship with Simon Grayson, into the Premier League, we were phenomenal. We really were. As fans, we were phenomenal. And I think we have to get back to that, and we have to get back to cheering them on, and maybe not criticising everything that goes wrong, and just encouraging them to play without fear. Because if the players start playing without fear, then they're going to play a lot better, and they're going to make great passes, and they're going to do things that Evo wants them to do. And he was saying from himself, he's trying to, not be a manager that criticise him. He doesn't want them coming into the dressing room and him shouting at them and saying, why do you do this? Why do you do that? This was wrong, that was wrong. He wants to have an encouraging environment. And I think if he wants to do that, then I think we as fans need to do our bit as well. It's a two-way street. Obviously, we want players to do those things, but if they try things and they don't quite work out, and they try that super pass and it doesn't quite come off, well, we need to encourage them to do more of that. So I was, I like that. Killboy's Backyard said, I don't think Blackpool will go down. They will be safe. Evatt showing potential to turn this around. I can see free-falling Northampton Town heading into that relegation zone. Ooh, maybe. Damien Coughlin said the team showed great character against Lincoln, and that's for sure. Yeah, there was now this bit. Yes, it kind of says that we have to turn this season around together. Together as fans, together as team, or we have to be together. And I think most of us, and most sensible ones of us anyway, are really happy to get Evo. He's saying, all the kind of things we want a manager to say. We know he's tangerine through like a stick of rock. I did tell him that when I spoke to him after. I said, I know you're tangerine, right through, and I know, I am wanting you so much to do well. And if you could, take us on an amazing journey, you'll go down as even a bigger legend than you are now. And that's what I told him, because I do believe that. Andy Nicholson says, have a great Christmas from Andy from Blackpool. W&G fan says, Hayley, are you confident on Blackpool against Wigan on Saturday? Well, at the moment, I'm never confident. I can't say I'm totally confident, but we can see the winds of change, can't we? We can see things happening. And I do believe, I've said this lots of times, that if you have to make your own look in life, and if you put the effort in, then to be successful, then you will be successful. If you don't do the things that bring success and you don't put the effort in, it will never happen. So you can clearly see that Ian Evatt is working on the players all the time. And there's a few things he talked about that he said we're not really allowed to talk about how he trains people. But obviously we know, just like every club, he'll analyse teams. And he was basically saying that with the Lincoln game, they did something that he wasn't thinking they would do. And the players didn't react to it in the way he's trying to get them to react. Basically, he's trying to train the players to see the game in game and adapt to the game themselves. say for instance, if somebody's playing 4-3-3 and then they change to 4-4-2, he needs them to see that in the game. You get what I mean? So they're trying to teach them how to adapt to different situations and different teams and different setups. And, if the manager sends, a substitution on, puts 3 up front or something, they know how to deal with all those situations. So that's just taking time and a lot of, time to train them to do those things. And it will take time. And, it just sounds like he's trying to, to get them to understand the way that he wants them to play. And he wants them to play with his freedom. He wants them to play with no fear. He wants them to play with freedom. And he said he actually wants to dominate every phase of the game, whether it's with the ball, without the ball, whether we're attacking or defending. He wants us to be the dominating team. And I think we all want, if we can see that, I think every Blackpool fan will be happy. If we're going into games and we're dominating the teams from the start, and when we haven't got the ball, we win the ball back quick, then that's exactly what we want to see in it. So that's what we've been asking for forever and a day. So if he does that, I'll be very happy. Who we got Boxing Day? We're playing... who have we got Boxing Day? I'll tell you. Somebody will probably answer in the thing, but we've got on Boxing Day, we have got, we're at home to Doncaster Rovers on Boxing Day. We've got Wigan on Saturday, and then on Boxing Day, it's Donny Rovers. And then on the 29th of December, Saturday, we're home again to Rotherham. So, flipping out, we just beat Rotherham, we're playing them again. So, got to beat Rotherham twice. So, we've got Doncaster at home, Rotherham at home, and then on New Year's Day, we're away at Port Vale. No, I wasn't. I wasn't at the famous 4-0 win at Wigan in 2010. I didn't really go to many away games. It was never my thing, because I'm always, one of the reasons why I haven't done since I've been a DJ is I'm always working Saturday night, so I couldn't really go to away games because I'd always have a party, some wedding to do or something. So I couldn't get to an away game, then get home, then get to a venue to set up for a wedding and stuff. So I've not really done away games, only home games. For the last since the late 90s, really, when I started DJing. So I haven't done many away games. Jane's always done away games, and of course, I wasn't DJing when Blackpool got back in the Championship because I'd sold all my stuff to get through COVID, and I wasn't doing it anymore. I thought I'd kind of retired from it, but I'm back into it now again. Bought some more speakers, started all over again. So, it's world famous DJ Lee Charles. If only I was world famous. Yeah, I must admit, I've already said when I started the YouTube channel, it was going to be. I did start making videos for brides and grooms, and my whole idea with YouTube was to do it on DJing. But then I thought, nah, I'm not David Guetta. Nobody's going to be interested in that. But knowing what I know now, I could have been reviewing microphones and mixers and booths and lighting and, all those things. And I could have, been kind of famous on YouTube as a sort of a DJ, and that would have, been good. But anyway, I did football vlogging instead for my sins. Damien Coughlin says, I'm confident Evo will turn things around. They just need to get a couple of players back from injury, such as Ennis. Well, he did say that he hasn't had a chance to see all the players yet. He doesn't. They've just not all been fit. But it sounds like he's excited to get the players back, but he does see a few things that he needs strengthening, and hopefully Simon Sadler will back him on that. Let's just go on back to my notes. I was busy typing away. I'm making notes on my phone. Probably somebody thought I was texting, but I wasn't. I was making these notes. So he said that players are being given so much detail every week in every training session on how to change tactics in game by themselves, which is what I've just said. So yeah. Don't criticise players if the players make mistakes, taking chances. Exactly. Somebody asked about corners. This was a big thing. Why we have everybody back for a corner? And he's basically saying that he's done a lot of analysis on this over the years, and the stats say that having all your team back like the percentage wise, that's the best way to do it. Percentage wise, through all the analysis and analytics of corners and all the research he's done, it is the best way. So it's the way he's going to do it. They started going on about, somebody started saying, well, you could put like 2 players up and all this sort of stuff. But I've sat with Keegan Parker, I've sat with Graham Oates, I've sat with quite a few former players, and they all say the same thing, that they think if you leave 1 player up on the halfway line, they have to leave 2 players back. They can't. I wanted to say it, but I couldn't really get in on the conversation because they started going on about 3 players up front and all that. So if the club are watching this, and Evatt now knows Lee Charles, if you watch this, some of the former players, and I kind of agree with it, if you just leave 1 player, just 1, on the halfway line, then they have to leave 2 back. They can't leave 1, because if you just leave 1 defender and our player turns him, say it was Ennis, or turns him, he's away, isn't he? And there's literally a through ball to halfway line, and he's away, and it's goal to go, isn't it? So a team, when you have just 1 player up on the halfway line, makes them have to leave 2 back, and that gives you an advantage in numbers. Whereas when you're all back, they shove everybody forward, everybody into your half, and I don't know. That's not what I'm saying. It's what people like Keegan Parker has said, Graham Oates has said, Dennis Warren has said. In fact, they all kind of said the same thing. All the the players that I got on with me last season were all saying the same thing, that they wouldn't have everybody back. They'd always leave 1 player up, but nobody talked about that in the meeting, and I didn't get a chance to. But anyway, wish I had it done. You share a name with a famous non-league footballer. I didn't know that. I didn't know that at all. Who is he? Is there a famous Lee Charles non-league footballer? I need to know. Who's he play for? Good evening, Lee. My favourite Blackpool players are Charlie Adam, Ian Evatt, Rob Edwards from Andy. Yeah, all good choices. I would add into that David Vaughan. I would add into that Keegan Parker. I would add into that Brett Ormrod, who is my favourite. And Ian Evatt is obviously up there, because he went to see my dad at the hospice, which I reminded him about. Yes, and then after that there was, dare I ask, you going to the World Cup in the States? No, I'm not. No, at those prices. Not unless I was like, I had 1 million subscribers and making a vlog would make me millions. No. Who can afford that? It's ridiculous, isn't it? It's crazy prices. Right, we then got on to a thing about the players coming through, young players coming through into the first team. There was a bit of criticism of why we've got rid of this development squad. But Ian Evatt did say that at the moment, and I must admit, I kind of agree with him, his priority is just getting the first team playing well, never mind the youngsters. He needs to get the first team playing the way he wants them to play. So that's his main priority, and that makes sense in the position we're in. That makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? He needs to get us winning, and bringing young kids in at this moment in time, with all the pressure and everything else, is probably not the time to bed them in. But he was saying that there's like a couple of players that he's noticed that he thinks are going to be, big assets to the first team, but there's only like a couple. So Ian Evatt at the moment doesn't really see the point of a development squad, simply because if you're going to have a development squad, you have to have a lot of good players, not just 2, maybe, quite a nucleus of players that he thinks can break through to the first team. At the moment, we're not at that stage. And people said, well, you're not going to get to that stage unless there's like a career path, and people can see that players are going to get into the first, they're going to join Blackpool rather than somewhere where they do get into the first team. So he was saying that at the moment, what they're looking at more than anything is making sure that when we loan these young kids out, it's it's a good loan that develops them. A little bit like the Premier League when they send, Danny Imre to us. They're sending Imre to us because they think we're a good place for him to develop as a player for them. And we need to be doing the same sort of thing with our young players, where we're sending them to clubs where they're going to develop the things that we need them to work on there. So when they come back, they're a better player. Also, he's got young players training with the first team, so they get used to, because they have to play with like better players. So obviously at the moment our centre half, maybe our star centre half, has been playing with the team and he's been playing against Bloxham, say for instance, and he knows how to deal with Blocko, but yet he hasn't yet had a go at dealing with Niall Ennis backing into him and just making his life hard. And they have to learn all those things playing against better players. So they're trying to develop in that way, where they're getting experience with the first team, they're getting used to playing against good players in training, so they develop that way. And also when they loan them out, one of the reasons they said they lent Rob Apter out to the places he went, he first went to Bamber Bridge, I think, but they sent him there to toughen him up, because he'd been playing kids football and he wasn't that tough, and they wanted him to go in at a deep end and play against men and kind of get beaten up quite a bit and see how he dealt with that. He did very well with that, and then he was obviously sent out to Tranmere Rovers and he was like player of the season there, wasn't he? And that brought him back, and he's either looking. He was saying, the club has to look at the young players in two ways. They're either an asset that's going to better, come into the team and improve the team, or they're an asset where they develop so they can sell them and then use the money to develop the team. So that's where they are at the moment with that. Lee Charles, he played for QPR, Barnet, Hayes, Cambridge United. I'll have to get him on. Get him on the show. Lee Charles meets Lee Charles. That would be good. WNG Fans Plus, you now need to show your last 5 years of social media history to... Is that when you're going to America? Yeah, well, I don't... I'd be a shooing, wouldn't I? It's Moni Lee Charles going in with his YouTube channel. We don't say anything. We don't go down the road of politics or anything on this show. It's not worth it. Don't enter into any of that sort of thing. David Turner said it worked with Rob Apter. Yeah, exactly. They sent him out, and that's exactly what they plan to do, and they plan to get more of that. Semi-Charm Live says, remember to like the stream. Indeed, do like. And don't forget, down there, you can buy me a coffee. There's a little QR code there. If you're watching on TV, you can just scan it and buy me a coffee. Really appreciate it if you like what we do. Cool Boys by House says, yeah, Donald Trump has a tangerine face, so he could be a Blackpool fan. Indeed, he could. It's the perfect face colour for a Blackpool fan, isn't he? Yes, he is. I bet he doesn't know that, but maybe we ought to send him a message saying, Donald Trump will, we'll have you as an inaugural Blackpool fan with your town. Right now then, Evo said that, and he said he's not just saying this to say this, to con us or make us believe or whatever, but he says that Simon Sadler, he's met him quite a lot of times, and he is a mad Blackpool fan and he wants success. He said he is a really, he is genuinely a big Blackpool fan. And he has spoken to him, and he has told Ian Evatt that he will do everything he can to help him get what he needs to be successful. So all those people that say Simon Sadler's more into his horse racing, well, maybe he does like horse racing. My dad liked horse racing. Backed on horses every day of his life. I mean, okay, it was a fiver each way. He wasn't... But my dad backed on horses all his life. I hated horses. He used to take me, when I was a kid, I used to go out in the summer with him sometimes in the taxi, and he'd go in the bookies, and he'd say to me, he said, I've got this horse, so it won't be long. He said, if we win, go and get you an ice cream or whatever. He used to say that to me, and then he'd be in for ages, then he'd come out and he'd lost and wouldn't get the ice cream. And I kind of learned as a young kid that horse racing was not for me, but he would forever. My dad would always say, just go and have a look at this. Watch this horse. Watch this horse coming in. I'll have to watch it. He said, look at it coming on the outside, coming down, look at it, whatever. And even though he'd lost, he'd actually love to watch a really good horse. And then he'd have, with horse racing, you got to remember, you've seen a horse run at Wincanton. It was coming like an express train, but the ground was a bit heavy, and then he'd forget or he'd miss it, and it'd running at 25 to 1. He'd be like, God, I saw that horse run. I missed it. He used to say, well, I bloody missed it. It's bloody run at 25 to 1. So, so there we go. So yeah, he might like horse racing, but that doesn't mean he can't like football as well. And he is a stupid mad, tangerine, Blackpool fan. So there you go, from Ian Evatt, telling you now, all those that say, Simon Sadler, he's mad Blackpool. Cool Boys says, we will definitely not be renaming the Blackpool Tower Trump Tower. I can assure you that that's not a brand. It's good enough as it is, Blackpool Tower, but I get the humour. Thomas Paulson, hello Thomas. He says, good evening Lee, definitely believe in Simon Sadler, indeed. And Evo believes in him, and if Evo believes in him, and he obviously has a lot of conversations with him, and if Evatt says that Simon Sadler is going to back him and he's going to help him all he can, and you never hear a manager say anything bad about Simon Sadler, do you? So yeah, lots of fans, get him on here. I used to have a guy saying all the time, "Oh, he's stashed away £15 million and all this. He's making loads of money out of Blackpool. Trust me. One thing Simon Sadler is not doing is making money out of Blackpool Football Club. He's actually losing it hand over fist, really, isn't he? He's like losing money all the time. So, Reading 1-3-2 against Luton Town tonight. Luton are not doing all that good, are they? Really, to be honest. Yeah. Yes, Luton are not doing good. Right. I think this is kind of there was a bit, I didn't make a note of it, but I can't remember it now. Dave Ragazzino from the MSG started to go on about, he started to have a conversation that we, like, going back to when Critchley first started, we had this the club had a vision, and that was to get young players, to develop them, to bring them into the team or sell them on and, get the team that way. And that was kind of Critch's vision. And then Appleton came, when Critch left, Appleton came in, and he wanted players bringing in, and then they kind of brought all them players in and then got him all the players he wanted and then sacked him, which was a bit odd, and it still is a bit odd, isn't it, when he finally got the players he wanted in January. They sacked him straight away and brought in Mick McCarthy, who didn't want any of those players, and he wanted all big Land of the Giants, so they had to change all the way they were playing to accommodate, which didn't work. And then obviously we had Bruce, who wants to play a different way, and now we've got Evo with all these new tactics, and he was saying, like, we haven't kept our identity, and we don't really know what our identity is anymore. And I kind of get what Raggy was like driving at. It wasn't really, I get what he's driving at. I don't think he was really aiming that at Evatt, because at the end of the day, Evatt doesn't want to hear that his system is worse than... I didn't quite get what he was driving at there, because Evatt can't do anything about the past. All they can do is maybe build something now, and hopefully, I'm hoping that Evo does get us up into the Championship, and I'd even love him to get us in the Premier. I know I'm dreaming, and that'll never happen, but you never know. It's happened before, and Evatt's been part of that, and he knows how to do that. And if he did that, I just said to him, if you do as well as a manager as you did as a player, you're going to be a bigger legend here than you ever have. And I hope you have all the success in the world. And I hope you stay here and become the next Brian Clough, really, of Blackpool. It would be amazing because it's just so positive. I mean, all the coaches from Evatt to Crainey to Dobbs to Banks, they all are part of Blackpool history. They love Blackpool. They want Blackpool to do well. All of them want to do well, and I think that's good. We've had a lot of managers in, like Bruce, who couldn't really care less about Blackpool, could he? Really, he's not been involved in it in any ways, and his assistant managers are not bothered about Blackpool. Now we've got a team that are all basically Blackpool together, aren't they? All mates together, and I think that's a good thing. And I think if Blackpool start to play the way that Ian Evatt wants us to play, which is attacking, dominating every phase, you know, whether you're out of possession, in attack, in defence, whatever phase the game you're in, we're dominating teams. That's exactly what we want to see as fans. And I'm pretty sure if we see that, they will see how good we are as fans, because we are. You know we are. I was talking to them at the end. I was saying, you know, Jane and I think I mentioned it before, but I'm probably repeating it. You've probably heard all this before. But obviously, you know, we went to every championship game in that first season when we were back. And there wasn't anywhere loud like Blackpool. No, not one single stadium was anywhere near. Like, you know, Sheffield United, you could hear a pin drop. Sunderland, Sunderland went in our league then with you. That was later. But even they were loud, but they weren't loud like us. They don't sing like us. Coventry was about the best. They were about the best. They were the loudest, and they did sing quite a lot. But they sang in like a little section, like in the far corner over that way, and some over to the right of us here sang. But the rest of it didn't sing. You know, they didn't join in the songs. And like I said, when Footy Adventures came here, you know, the guy that does all the Scottish stuff, and he did a Blackpool vlog, he was like, I just can't get over this. They've actually got like a song for a corner. I've never been to any football ground ever where the fans have a song for a corner. You know, come on, you Pool. So we are unique. And also, I was reminding Evo as well that when we played Nottingham Forest at home, there was a video from like the Nottingham Forest side showing all the fans, the whole, you know, all the way round singing. It was so bloody loud, wasn't it? The south, the west, we all had like blooming coloured bits of paper and everything. If you remember, it's all tangerine, north, and there's nowhere you go. There is literally no ground in the country where you go where there's that end, and across from you that are all singing together. And when all that lot's going, flipping heck, we are incredibly loud. And if the players start to see that, it will lift them. And Evo did say that when the crowd are like that and chanting and cheering, it just lifts you. You know, it does. And I know we have the ability to do that because I've been part of it. And I said to quite a few people that I've always felt that journey, you know, from 2000 to 2010, 11 was all because of us. We were so loud all the way through that decade, and we got louder and louder and louder and louder. And by the time we got to Premier League, God, we were so flipping loud. And Ian Evatt said, you know, the noise that Blackpool fans generated in the Premier League with a 16,000 capacity was louder than any other stadium. Wherever they played, West Brom, Arsenal, wherever they went, Liverpool, none of them were as loud as Blackpool fans are, because Blackpool fans sing songs and songs and songs and songs and songs for players. And we've actually got a bigger repertoire than we sing now. I wish we'd bring back some of the old songs, but when we're at it, we can make a difference. And we have to be, if we as fans want to see, you know, Blackpool play well, if we as fans want to see Blackpool get in the Championship, if we as fans want to get in the Premier League, if we as fans want to stop being, you know, behind the knobbers all the time, we've got to be Blackpool fans. We've got to be that special thing that makes more noise than anywhere else for such a small, you know, amount of fans. We need to make that sound like 30,000 and just make this team achieve more. But we won't do that if we're also moany, and we've got to, you know, he was saying it's easy to be loud when things are good. It's easy to be fans and singing when everything's going wonderful and rosy, but when things are not going well and you need to be like in the trenches and singing and getting behind the team, that's when the team needs you. And if we don't do that, and if we don't change the way we are, and we don't get back to being loud and noisy and, you know, and roaring them on, we won't help the team achieve what we want them to achieve. And, you know, and I've said before to everybody here, isn't it? Me, personally, I want to be part of the solution, not part of the problem. I've said this before. Maybe that's what made them invite me in. Maybe somebody on the club said, blooming out, Lee Charles actually wants to be part part of the solution. He wants to be part of helping. He doesn't want to be part of the problem. Let's bring the poor guy in. He's mentioned it enough times on his live streams that he never gets invited to anything. He's got 8,000 subscribers and they don't think about him at all the time. He doesn't go, but they invited me, you see. So maybe just somebody picked up on it or somebody mentioned it to the club. So I watched Lee Charles TV. He's moaning again about not coming to something. So I got invited. Merry Christmas Merry Christmas to you as well. Cool Boys Backyard. Hopefully we do. Right, Legend of Astoria says, when is Bowler going to play better? Is Evatt complicating things too much? Come back, Holloway. Well, a few things here. Holloway is an absolute Blackpool legend, and I loved him. He's my favourite manager, but unfortunately he burned his bridges with a lot of fans by kind of sticking up for the Oystons and saying that our boycott was pointless and all the rest of it, and we were like basically knobheads for doing the boycott. It wouldn't work. They said we were wasting our time, and he stood by Oyston, and he still stands by Oyston. And because he did that, loads of people wouldn't welcome Ian Holloway back, which is a shame because he's a legend. And I don't know why he went against us in that way. I'll never. If I could have a sit down chat with Ian Holloway, got him on a live stream and did a podcast with him, I would ask him why, the fans adored him, why he would go against us when he knew all the stuff that was going on with the Oystons suing fans. So I would have to ask him that, and I don't think he'd be welcome back. Even that would be great. Ian Evatt knows what Holloway did, learned from Holloway, and has learned his own way and everything else. So I think Evatt's great. I know what you're saying. Is he trying to overcomplicate things? But when you listen to the interviews with Bowler and you listen to the interviews with the players, they all seem to be really buying in to the fact that they're actually being trained and coached to do things. So I don't think that's the case. I think he's asking them to do things that they've not been asked to do before and play in a way that they haven't been asked to play before. But Evatt seems to be confident that these players can do what he wants them to do. Bowler all the time says that he's really enjoying this role, and I think Bowler's playing really well. I think he's playing great. I don't know what you're not seeing, but I think he's been instrumental. I thought he was instrumental in the win against Cardiff. I thought it was a shame he got injured after he was instrumental in that game against Cardiff. He's just come back from injury. Give him some time, but I think Bowler's like a massive, massive part of this team. I think he's going to be, as long as he stays fit, doesn't get injured, and it seems like Evatt's got a better way of making sure they don't get injured as much. But if Josh Bowler does Josh Bowler things in that position he's playing in, and he can see a pass and he can do this, and he likes the role, I think we'll see a great Josh Bowler. So yeah. Gary Crenshaw. Good evening, Gary, with double R. Thanks for joining along. We're talking about, obviously, something that's no interest whatsoever to you, but for me, actually being invited to go to like one of these fans things that I've never been invited to before. I'm so excited. I couldn't believe it. I was like, oh my God, I actually got a message, from the club saying, do you want to come? I was like, bloody hell, is the Pope a Catholic? Yes, of course I want to come. I'd love to come. So I just wrote them back and said, yeah, of course I'd love to come. Semi-channel Life says, Lee, you absolutely deserve the invite. Yes, indeed. They are 100%. Yeah. Okay, so that what else was there? Oh yeah, Andy Higgins of BST and the MSG and the Armfield Club. Not just Lee Charles from Lee Charles ETV. He had a lot of things after his name. Sounded very important. I didn't sound quite so important, but it doesn't matter. I mentioned Tom Bloxham, and I think he called him. What did he call him? What did he? I remembered what he said. I can't remember what he called him. He's a enigma that we can't kind of solve anyway. So he basically said that, Tom Bloxham came to the club. He played against us against Shrewsbury, ripped us apart. His first game against Exeter, he just bossed it, didn't he? Remember, he did his backflip. There was a photograph of him on, I don't know what, social media somewhere, where he looked about 10 foot tall compared to this player from Exeter. He just looked so big, didn't he? He was like huge. You were thinking, God, he's out of Avatar or something. He's that tall. He doesn't seem quite as tall as he did on that picture, but maybe the guy was only 4'5" and he was 6'4" 5 or whatever he is. He is quite tall, but he looked like a giant. And I was saying to, my boys, I said, wow, this player we signed, Tom Bloxham, he's going to take us up. He's unbelievable. One of the best players. That performance against Exeter was unbelievable. And then he played again, and then he got injured. And they were saying that the problem, what happened with Tom Bloxham, there's a lot of rumours about him injuring himself in a house move or something. But basically what happened was, if you looked at his stats for Shrewsbury Town, he didn't play like many minutes. He didn't get on all the time. He wasn't like a 90-minute player. He just had little bits and bats roles, and he came on as substitution and all that. And then he got thrown in at Blackpool, and we were short of players at the time, and he came on and he played brilliant against Exeter. So they then played him on the Tuesday, and then they played him on the Saturday, full 90 minutes, he wasn't used to, and he got a calf injury, and he's not got. And that is what they're trying to avoid with him. They don't, and also the thing with Blocko is that they see him as a centre forward, and obviously he came as a right winger, didn't he? Because I thought he was going to be between him and just the lad we've been talking about. Who was going to be a right winger, and but they see him as more as a centre forward. Dobbs, who is our striking coach, coaches the strikers, because he's a fantastic striker. We all know what a good striker he was. So they've been trying to. Ian Evatt's just all about improving players. So if there's things they want to do with them, and they want them to do things, they're going to coach them, have a coach on them, coaching them to know where to be in the box, know if Ashley Fletcher's, on the touchline, he's got to be in the 6-yard box, all this sort of thing, that how he splits 2 defenders apart. And Evatt was saying that one of the great things that he actually enjoys is when what he's coached in training actually happens on the pitch. And what he did at Rotherham Bloxham was just exactly what they've been training him to do. So players are learning, and the players are improving. And then we got on to Banks. Somebody mentioned Banks. What a fantastic... Oh, it was the guy from it's not Orange, it's Tangerine podcast. He was asking about Banks because he thinks he's like a really, really talented player. He scored some amazing goals. He's shown how good he is, but he's not getting on. And Evatt said, I'm glad you mentioned that, because at the moment I've been having a lot of conversations with Banks. He's a fantastic player, but he did say that he's not great at getting back and defending, and he's working with him. He's working to improve him so that he is good at getting back and defending and doing what he does now. And if he can do that, he will have improved him as a player and made him a better player, and a player that he can use more often in the team. That made sense to me. I don't know if it makes sense to you, but it made a lot of sense to me. So all these people that are moaning, Banks doesn't get on, doesn't get to play. Well, that's the reason why they want him to improve his defensive side of his game, and they are coaching him to improve that defensive side of his game. So there you go. Gary Cruncher's going for a 2-0 away win at Wigan. We would take that, Gary. Are you good at predicting, or are you better saying it the other way around, because your predictions always go wrong? But we need a win at Wigan. We could do with it. It's Christmas. We need basically, I've told them they've got to win over Christmas. I don't want miserable videos. I don't want to be crying. This is, I don't want to be crying on videos. I don't want to be sad. I don't want it like my Christmas ruining like it normally is since I've been a little boy. I remember when I went with my dad to blooming Deepdale on Boxing Day, and bloody Tony Ellis scored 2 goals in injury time to beat us. My dad, we got home, and Mum had a lovely, like a Christmas Boxing Day meal already, because it was like a lunchtime kickoff. So we got back, I don't know, 2:30. So I can't remember the exact time, but anyway, she had all this lovely lunch put together for us when we got, and my dad couldn't eat. He was so depressed he couldn't eat it. All the words she put in. My dad was just so sick. It was Tony Ellis banged these bloody 2 goals in injury time. It was just, I can't remember what year that was. It'd be back in the 80s sometime with my dad. But anyway, that's the sort of thing. Paul Crisp. Hello, Paul. Evening, Lee. Keep the faith. Looking forward to seeing you in a pub in Lincoln. All the best. Yes, we've not been to, well, We normally go to Lincoln. Jane likes to go. She likes Lincoln. She likes Cleethorpes. So we tend to go for like a long sort of 4 days or something. We just go every year. She likes the chippy in Cleethorpes, very much so. We go there. We go to the Yardbirds Club, which is in Grimsby, and then we go over to Lincoln. And she loves Lincoln. She fell in love with Lincoln when we played Lincoln sometime near Christmas a few years ago, and they had all Christmas stuff going on, and she just loved it. And we do Steep Hill, and we do all the rest of it. So yeah, we hopefully will be there. Semi-Charm Life, who is our resident Everton Blackpool fan, agrees 2-0 Blackpool. We'll take that. I won't be putting a bet on it, because if I put a bet on it, I never win. So don't back. But I think that's it. That's all the stuff I've got for you. Let's have a look. For those that are just joining, the first thing that Evo said, there's a if you missed this, there's a TV show on Netflix called The Turnaround. It's a 25-minute documentary. He says we all have to watch that. It's very important. So any Blackpool fans tuning into this, Netflix, The Turnaround. It's really important. Ian Evatt said we all need to watch it. So I'm going to watch it. In fact, I will actually watch it, and then I'll come back maybe on one of these and give my opinion on it and promote it even more. If Evatt says it's important, it's important. Evo thinks we need about 3 players to strengthen in the Christmas, but, just because you want them doesn't mean you can get them, or you can get the kind of player that he wants, that he knows will improve the team. He knows the kind of players he wants. Whether we can get them or not, that's another question. But anyway, Simon Sadler, he has a great relationship with him, and Simon Sadler is a mad Blackpool fan, and he is going to back him all the way. So it was just so positive. The whole thing was positive. There was no negativity. Everybody was in a good mood, in good spirits. They were talking about Raggy was talking about where we are in the form table at the moment, and did they know where we are now in the form table? I don't know whether we're 7th in the league or something like that in the form table. Maybe somebody will be able to tell me in the comments, but we're up there in the form table, and they were saying that if we carry on in the form we're going at the moment, we would get about 60 points where we are just at this moment in time. If we keep improving, we could do higher than that, but 60 points is kind of what our form at the moment. If we continue going as we're going now, but when players come back, Evatt said he as a player, he always believed that wherever he went, and certainly in the Premier League, they believed they could go to any of they didn't fear Arsenal, Liverpool, City. City wasn't in the Premier League then, but any of the teams that they were playing, they went without any fear. They just thought that they would win, and he wants Blackpool to be the same, where it doesn't matter whether we're playing top of the league, mid-table, bottom of the league, that we go with the confidence that we can beat them. And that's great, isn't it? That's exactly what we want to see. So he's trying to get that mentality, that sort of we are just too good, and we will beat you. And we know how to beat you. And, just like every other team, he was saying, it's not just him, when we're playing Reading, they'll be looking at videos of us and planning how to beat us. And, just like we're looking at videos of the other team and planning how to beat them. It's, everybody has these, videos to watch and analytic things to watch to see how teams play and how they can beat them. So they're all doing it. But obviously Steve Bruce probably wasn't doing that. Yes, exactly. Have confidence in yourself and believe. That's it. If you have the belief, but it's getting them there, it's getting that confidence. And like I said, he wants the fans to be a part of that, to help the team get the confidence through positive energy. The energy, he did, quite often say it's a two-way street. We know we need to play in a way that gets you going. But if you can help us when we're struggling, then, you know, you will get the rewards back. And I believe that. I honestly believe if Blackpool fans are on it, you know, and being like Blackpool fans can be, we make so much noise, the stadium can be so loud, and if we can get that back, then this team with Evo will give us the dreams that we want. Semi-Charlie says, not only in sport, but in life as well. Indeed, you have to believe in yourself, and you've also got to make things happen for yourself. You know, if you don't, you know, it's the same as anything, isn't it? You know, if you're single and you want to meet a girl and you stay in your house and you never go out, you never go out to the pub, you never go out to a nightclub, you never go out Saturday night, you know, you're not going to meet one, are you? Maybe, you know, maybe you'll meet somebody on Tinder or something, but no, if you want that to happen, you've got to go out there and make it happen. And then, you know, you've got to have the confidence. If you go somewhere, you see a girl you like, you've got to go and risk it, haven't you? You got to go over and risk it. You know, you got to say it. You got to introduce yourself. In fact, we were watching a show called How You Met Your Mother, and it used to have they had a great way of meeting girls. So what they'd do, they'd always have one of them would be the wingman. So he'd go over to a girl and he'd say, hi. I say, have you met Lee? And then they just, you know, give them an introduction. Or I'd say, you know, hi, have you met Dave? You know what I mean? And you're in, you know, I thought it was I wish we'd have thought of that when I was, you know, in my teens. Brilliant, isn't it? Just get my mate David talk to any girl. So just go over and say, hi, have you met Lee? You know, I was saying to David, I really like her. And rather than me have to go over and like brave it and go over and ask her, oh, would you like to dance? Or, you know, would you like a drink? David just go, hi, have you met Lee? And honestly, it would have been great. So yeah, you have to make things happen, and that's in life. You know, if you want to get a better job, you've got to kind of get, you know, work really hard in the job you're doing, so you're getting good appraisals or whatever, good management reports, and everybody thinks you're the bee's knees. And then when you go for an interview, everything's glowing, and you move up and you move on, and you know, and that's life, isn't it? You've always got to be confident in yourself, and you've always got to be trying to sort of get yourself to where you want to go. Hi Lee! Connor says, only just joined. What happened tonight? Great, you were finally invited to something by the club. Right, let me see. What you got to watch Turnaround on Netflix. Crainey says the best group of players ever been. Players don't have the same resilience as they used to when they were kids, so they don't like criticism, and they don't handle criticism very well because everybody today is a little bit more, you know, not quite as built of like, you know, strong stuff. So we have to be less critical and more encouraging. And he has to be less critical. He's conscious of it himself, not criticising the players. We have to turn it all around together. Fans, players, him, everybody. We've all got to be together. We've got to roar them on. Evatt wants to dominate every phase of the game. So whether we're on the ball, off the ball, attacking, defending, he wants to be dominating teams all the time, which is exactly what we want to hear. That's exactly what we want to see. Players are now being given so much detail in training on how to combat different scenarios when they're playing teams. So, say if a manager they're playing 4-4-2 and a manager goes 4-3-3, they can see it and they can adapt to it and change their tactics to, you know, negate those tactics. But he needs the players to be able to understand and learn and know what they have to do in certain circumstances. That's all taking time, but they're all learning it really quickly, and it's going well. He said corners, why we have everybody back is because, you know, stats show, and he's done lots and lots of analysis on this, that stats show that if you all are back for corners, you concede less corners. And just by putting players up doesn't mean you score more goals. He's trying to get youngsters training with the first team to develop them, and he also wants to make sure that when we loan youngsters out, they are loaned out to places that are going to improve them in the same way that Premier League clubs send players like Danny Imre to us because they know that we are going to improve them. So we have to have the same mentality when we're sending our youngsters out. He did say Rob Apter, it was a name I couldn't remember before, but Rob Apter was sent to Bamber Bridge to toughen him up because he knew, because when he went out there, he was going to get kicked around, kicked upside down, and you know, he was a little player and he needed to play with, you know, real tough non-league dirty players and get kicked around and learn from that. And so he did that, and then so they toughened him up and they sent him out to Tranmere Rovers, and of course he had more. He played more of the role, but he was tougher, and he ended up being Player of the Year and came back to us as a much better player. And that's how they see developing players at the moment. They haven't got a development squad because there isn't enough like good players who he thinks at the moment. Ian Evatt's got his eye on two players, maybe three, but two players he thinks can make it. Two players have really taken his eye. So there's no point in having a development squad. He needs to work on those two players to get them. So like if he's got a centre half, say for instance, the centre half at the moment's been playing against Bloxham, and he can deal with that, but he hasn't yet played against Ennis, and he hasn't got Ennis backing into him and all the dirty stuff that Ennis does and the elbows and all that. So to get those players up to be able to play in the men's game, they've got to learn in the training with good players, playing with good players, how they're going to play when they get on the pitch. Would you say it was successful? It was bloody amazing. It was amazing, honestly. It was really good. Yes, Theo Upton and are the two that he really sees a lot of potential in. You're absolutely right. I was going to say it. You said it. He also said that he's had lots of conversations with Simon Sadler, and Simon Sadler loves Blackpool, genuinely loves Blackpool, and genuinely wants them to do well. And he said that he will do everything he can to help Ian Evatt be successful, because he likes Ian Evatt just like we like Ian Evatt, and he wants him to be successful. He wants Blackpool Football Club to be successful. He's not just all about horse racing, as I keep reading all the time from gossip that goes around. But clearly Simon Sadler, and I think all managers have said that Simon Sadler is great to work with. He's a Blackpool fan. So if you have that in your mind, that Simon Sadler is not a Blackpool fan, get it out your mind. And Simon Sadler's not making money out of Blackpool. He's pumping money in as best he can. The sale, they actually said, the sale of Kyle Joseph, allowed them to kind of, helped with the strengthening of the team. Yes, they did. Connolly, yes, they asked about the January window. Evatt said he would like to get 3 more players in, but he also did say that he still hasn't seen all the players. They're not all back, so he still doesn't know actually what he's got at his disposal. And everybody at the meeting kind of said the same thing, that during the summer we all thought that we'd recruited well. It's not proved out that way, the injuries and everything, but everybody thought we'd recruit some really good players. There was a few saying that we've kind of dropped our model and we're giving older players longer contracts, which maybe is not the model that we were following. Yes, I did ask a question. Well, I didn't ask a question. I didn't ask a question because everybody asked the stuff I wanted to ask anyway. So it was all. All I said was, you had to go on the microphone and you had to say who you were. So everybody else was like, Dave Ragazzino, MSG, Andy Higgins, Arfield Club, BST, Phil Cubbott, Yorkshire Seasiders, all this sort of stuff. And then it was me, Lee Charles from Lee Charles TV, representing Lee Charles TV. And I just said, all I said to them was, look, I just want to point out to you that Christmas is coming, and since I've been a little boy, Blackpool have been ruining my Christmas like so many times. I said, they keep ruining it recently, and I said, I make these videos, I said, I need you to win over Christmas, so please, whatever you do, make sure you win over Christmas, because I don't want to be crying on Christmas videos. I want to be happy. I want to be bringing joy. That is what I said. So I was going to talk about the youth, but they took the microphone off me after that because they had enough of me. So that was it. That's all I said. I said, just remember, we're not good at Christmas. Christmas is a bad time. Different managers, different players. Doesn't matter. We always lose at Christmas. So please, this year, do not lose at Christmas. As long as we don't get, we haven't got Wrexham to go to on New Year's Day. Got, stupid penalty, didn't they? We wouldn't have lost. Right. Yes, it is. Christmas period is painful as a Blackpool fan. So I've planted the seed in them all to be good at Christmas. Just don't lose at Christmas. Don't let me down. Don't let you down. Don't let everybody down. Game crunches the weather in Blackpool today. The weather in Blackpool, it's not been too bad today, I don't think. I've not been out much today, to be honest. It's gone a bit cold. Connor says, am I going to Wigan after Reading's win? It really is needed that we win. Yes, it is. No, I won't be going for the simple reason that I've got a disco, and I know it's an early kick-off, but it's just so much aggravation to go. I'm still a bit on the fence whether I can do it, whether I can get... It's just traffic in it coming out and getting back, then I'm going to go and do a disco. Was it just Evatt or was Downs? No, it was Ian Evatt. It was Stephen Dobbie. It was Stephen Crainey, and it was Steve Banks, the goalkeeper. So it was those four, all just coaches. Julian Winter was around. I managed to sidestep him anywhere because I thought he might be coming after me to punch me after I was tell everybody how much I can't stand him. So he didn't come over and speak to me anyway. So probably for the best because I don't like him. Yes, I don't like. Yeah. No. Anyway, I've talked enough about Julian Winter. I don't want to talk about anything negative. It was all positive. It was just honestly, I was really proud to be there. Yeah, it was just the coaching staff. And they were all very positive. They're all together. Every one of them is an ex-Blackpool player. They're all Blackpool together. Ian Evatt is like a tangerine stick. Oh, bloody... He's like me. He bleeds tangerine, which is fantastic. Yes, it was very wise for Julian Winter to avoid me because I wouldn't have had anything nice to say to him. But anyway, we know all that. That's all gone. It's all gone. It's all by the by, but the people that were there, it was all just positive. There wasn't much negativity really. No, not really. Somebody was moaning. Somebody was just saying that we passed back a lot in the second half against Lincoln, and they were a bit disappointed that we didn't get the ball forward and didn't dominate the game like we. But Ian Evatt was saying, and that they'd come to Blackpool like 5 across the back, all big guys, same size as him, sort of thing, and they were just too hard to get around. So when they're doing stuff like passing it around the back, they're trying to, to get them to come out a bit, to give them space to get round them. So there's kind of method in what they do that obviously you and I as football, I mean, honestly, I've told you before, I don't see this. When I'm watching football, I just see we're attacking and we're either not attacking very well or we're attacking really well and I'm dead excited. And I can see that, we're attacking more than them and we're kind of on top of them, and I like that kind of play. And then I have this other thing where I'm watching us defend, normally in a terrified, panicky state. It's how I normally am at football matches. Every time they go forward, I'm thinking, oh my God, they're going to score because we can't defend. Do you know what I'm like? This is what I'm like. We're like a wet paper bag. We can't defend anything. They just make one attack and they go and score after we've missed about 10 chances down this end. That's how I see football. I don't see any tactics. I couldn't tell you what formation we're playing at any time. I don't really notice if it's 4-4-2, 4-3-3, 5-3-2, well, whatever it is. I don't really notice it. I just see that we're playing well, we're playing bad, and I'm happy if we're on the attack and we're dominating teams and we're having lots of chances. That's when I'm in my happy place. And if we're winning 5-0, I can just sit back, sip a margarita and enjoy the match, and I don't care about the referee or anything else, because it doesn't matter. We're winning 5-0. The referee can be an absolute horror bag, and I don't care. But when we're losing 1-0 and the other team's getting everything their way and the other team's cheating every 5 minutes and they're going down and there's no fouls and the referee's giving them everything, then he books our play and we do nothing and we send somebody off or whatever. I see that. That's how I watch a football match. I don't watch it in any technical way. I'm either enjoying it or I'm not enjoying it. And if I'm not enjoying it, people don't want to sit next to me anymore. Like Jane, she can't take any more of it. She can't watch football with me at any time, really. She said she'll never go to Wembley. We got to sit opposite ends of the stadium because she can't stand the fact I was screaming every 5 minutes, just keep hold of that bloody ball, Blackpool. in the last 10 minutes. Against Lincoln City at Wembley, I was a nightmare. I know I was. I was getting so stressed because we just kept giving the ball away. Stop giving the ball away, Blackpool! I'm like, ugh! Terrible. Right. Did he say how he's going to get us out of this rot? Because it really does look a big task to get us out of this, especially with everybody else winning around us. Yes, but they won't keep winning around us. You know, they all can't keep winning. You know, they've got to play each other as well. So it's not possible for everybody to keep winning around us. But teams are winning. But yes, we have to keep winning. But we don't have to worry about what everybody else is doing. We just got to keep winning. And then of course we've got to keep beating. You know, we've got to go to Reading and beat them now, haven't we? You know what I mean? They beat us here. We've got to beat them there. We've got to be a better team. So yeah, Dave Ragazzino talked about where we are in the form table at the moment. We're pretty high up in the form table, and if we carry on in the form that we're in at the moment, getting the points that we're getting at the moment per game, we should end up with, at this point, playing the way we are now, around 60 points we should get. So that would have us safe if we just continue as we are. But we've got players coming back. We'll strengthen in January, hopefully. Evatt will keep improving the players, and we as a team will get more confident because all of us lot are going to stop moaning. We're going to stop criticising. We're going to let players play with confidence. He wants players to be able to express themselves without any fear of being barracked or being told off by him. So if we can get this mentality out of us where you know, we're on the backs of players and we get more like we should be. We're in the trenches. We're in the trenches, and we have to help them get out. You know, we have to be the 12th man. We have to be the force, like we always were. We were the force. Honestly, from 2000 to 2010, in that Premier League season, Blackpool fans were the force. It wasn't the team that got us up. It was us. I always felt it was me being a part of it, you know, whether it was against Hartlepool in those playoffs or whether it was against Oldham in the playoffs with Keegan Parker, or whether, you know, whatever it was us that did it. And I still believe that, and I believe that we got us in the Premier League because we were so bloody loud. We sounded like 30,000 instead of 10,000, and that got us in the Premier League because we had a louder support than Manchester United, pound for pound. Probably the best support in the world at that time for 10,000 people to make that noise, to generate that noise, to generate that atmosphere as if we're like 30, 40,000. That's what did it. And we have to get back to that. So that's that. Connor says, I'm sure Wigan will be absolutely up for it to beat Evatt, but we have to be up for it to beat Wigan. We have to be. Yeah. I'll say, nobody wants to sit there. I don't know how Pickle puts up with me. I've mellowed a bit with Pickle. I've mellowed a bit, but I still am terrible at times. You know me, 2-0 up, I need to be 3. For 3-0 up, I need to be 5-0 up. So then I can relax. And enjoy the game. Not worry about the referee or anything else. Is Jane okay? Yes, she's absolutely fine. Connor says he thinks we'll be fine. Of course we will. And Connor says we really need to get Bloomfield Road rocking again. So nowhere better when it's loud. Exactly. There is nowhere better. And, I said earlier before the stream, Jane and I went to every single game in the Championship, and there wasn't any ground that we went to that was loud. There was just nothing. Really, whether it was Bournemouth, Sheffield United, who else did we play in? I forget where we went now. Even not Nottingham Forest. It was Nottingham Forest. It's like really loud, right? So when they score, it's like a bloody bomb going off. Honestly, it's like the loudest thing. It's just like oh my God! You just sit there and you just can't believe the noise. But then any other time, there's nothing. They don't sing. They don't sing. Come on, whatever. For it, whatever it is. Just come on, Forest. Come on, Forest. Come on, Forest. That's about it. But like us, we just have like endless songs, player songs, corner songs, You know, whatever it is, we have a song for it, don't we? We sing and sing and sing and sing, and we sometimes have these songs that go on and on. I like those songs that go on and round and round and round and round. We just keep going and going and going. And if we can get that back, then we will lift this team. 100% guaranteed. If Everett's putting all this effort in to make the team a better team, and we're putting all our effort in to do the only thing that we can do, it's the only thing we can do. We can be moany and we can be groany and we can criticise and we can shout at players and we can talk CJ, he's in all this shit, and all this sort of stuff that I hear all the time. I'll tell you now, I like CJ Hamilton. I'll put it out there. All right, I like him. I know sometimes it's a bit frustrating, but I'd rather have him in my team than be playing against him. And I know he's coming on now as a bit of a late sub, and he's a great late sub to put on, isn't he? And I don't think they played CJ Hamilton in the right position. I don't think CJ Hamilton's a right back, if I'm being honest. I'm sure you don't think he is either. But when he is right back, he does an amazing job of going all the way up and bombing all the way back and all the way up and bombing all the way back, and he gets back and forward and he does all that. But he's not the greatest defender, but he's not a defender. So why not just bring CJ Hamilton on as like a swashbuckling, attacking winger with a lot of pace, going against a team that's tiring a bit? Have a field day. It's obvious. It's like the bleeding obvious, isn't it? You know what I mean? You bring because you imagine, you played the whole game, you get to like 70 minutes, you think, we're nearly there, we're winning 1-0, and they bring CJ Hamilton on against you, and he's like skinning you left, right and centre, and you've got nothing left in the tank, you haven't got enough energy to run against CJ Hamilton. That's when he's lethal, isn't he? He's brilliant. Sammy Charm Life loves the singing and always sings along, yeah. You always ask fans their favourite player, so I'm going to ask you, who's my favourite player at the minute? My favourite player is Ashley Fletcher. I have loved him from the very first day he came to play for Blackpool. Bestie has been against him, and I have all these arguments with him all the time. He says, I keep telling you, this Ashley Fletcher, he's a £6 million player. We've got a £6 million player in the doldrums, in sort of depression, not in a good place in his playing career. Everything's gone wrong, and he came to Blackpool, and we turned him around, and I could see right from the very start that everything about him, he looked a good player. I thought, wow, he looks a good player. What's the matter with him? And he looked, scared of going in and all this sort of stuff. And I kind of felt really sorry for him. And I'll tell you, Jane will tell me, when he started, the first time he started scoring, I was in tears. I was so happy that he scored. I was just so happy for him. I was like tears of joy. I love him. And now look at him. He's phenomenal. He's every bit too good for our team, isn't he? He's like, if he came and was playing for Lincoln City, we'd be like, oh my God, look at this bloody guy. Who's this? Where have they got this guy from? He's like head and shoulders above anyone on the pitch. So my favourite player at the moment is Ash Fletcher. I love Josh Bowler, because Jane loves Josh Bowler. I like, players that I like CJ Hamilton. I like Albie Morgan. Wish he was, playing more often. I like Blocko. I think he's got it all. He's only 21. He's still a young lad, you know what I mean? He's not playing many minutes football, so he's still, they're still trying to train him. I think that's good. Singing, chanting, shouting, come on, while shaking your fist. That's the game we know and love. Exactly. That's it. And that's how Blackpool were. We were just 100%. I think the fans, through that decade, which will probably, go down in history as one of the greatest decades in Blackpool's history, from Steve McMahon taking over. We were in Disney, and my dad was on the. We rang back to say Happy New Year, and he was like, "Have you heard who Blackpool have got as manager? Bloody Steve McMahon!" He was so excited about it, and it was brilliant under McMahon. We went to the Millennium Stadium a few times, promotion. Then we got Grayson, who did the perfect 10, and then Bellicon came in, and then the best trip ever, and the Premier League. It was just incredible. But as fans, we believed, didn't we? We were at Arsenal, we were losing 6-0 or something. We were still singing, we're going to win 7-6. The Arsenal fans couldn't believe what they were hearing because we were 6-0 down and we were still like singing all the way. We sang all the way through that game. We were unbelievable. Yeah, super Ashley Fletcher indeed. Connor says apparently he's done lots of therapy and everything, and he absolutely loves the club. If he keeps going at the rate he's going at, he's going to be a club legend. Well, he is. I actually think. I mean, we have actually. Ashley Fletcher becoming Ashley Fletcher £6 million. Ashley Fletcher, who I think Middlesbrough bought him for £6 million, didn't they? If he starts to become that £6 million player, and don't forget, Josh Bowler went for, did he go for, I don't know, it's rumoured somewhere between 4.5 to 6 million to Forest. So we got him back as well. So he's another, really, isn't he? He's another £6 million player that we couldn't afford. We've got Niall Ennis, when he gets back to fitness, he's another one that like Stoke bought for well over £1 million and lost his way, but he's found his mojo here. And I think these strikers, when they come back and they're playing in this team in the way that the team are playing, that Evel's got on playing, I think they're all going to, excel. Connor says, I love Blocko. Yeah, I do. I just do. Everything about him, I just wish he could, I just hope he gets his confidence back, and I hope they get him playing in the way they want to play as a centre forward, because he would be really good if he did. Semi-channel Mark was made up that any stayed. Yeah, I couldn't believe it, to be honest. I didn't think he would. I didn't think we'd get him. When we signed him, I tell you, the video that we did with Pickle in the summer, we were both so excited about Blackpool. And it's been so disappointing. And, I hate moaning, I hate being down. I like being positive. But I've come out of that meeting really positive, I've got to say. That's all I can say, really. Yes, our squad is unbelievable. We just need to get them playing, yeah. And I'm sure Evatt is working on all the players. They work on them to get them to be better in the roles they want them to be in. And I think if we can just be encouraging as fans, and we can, not get on the back when they try and make, a more dangerous pass. Because what happens, like Evo was saying, is if we get on the backs when they try something, then they'll stop. They'll play with fear. They'll go backwards rather than going forwards, because they'll be too fearful of making that forward pass. But if we encourage them and they get playing without any fear and they make those passes, then we will see better football. So it is a two-way street. We have to be. And pass that on to people friends you go with, just get Blackpool fans to realise that we have to be a big part of helping this team get, we have to be together. We're a band of brothers. We're a family. We've always been a family. It's one of the things I say about the Oystons. We hated them. When Oyston was a bit like, that sort of like uncle that you hated thing, at Christmas parties. But it was like a family. We were like a family. Despite the Oystons, we were like a family. And we've kind of lost that, and we need to get that back. Okay, Cruncher saying Blackburn Rovers 2-0 over Millwall, and Blackpool with a 12:30 kickoff, and I think you said we're going to win it 2-0. Yes, Dale Taylor was our record signing ever, beating DJ Campbell, but in fairness, we did have that money with Apter and Joseph getting us over 5 million. Yeah, exactly. So some of that money will have been used to buy Taylor, but if you talk to Wigan fans, they would say how bloody wonderful Taylor was. But I don't think he's had I don't think at the time when he was on, I don't think Blackpool were playing as well as we're kind of starting to play now. You've kind of seen it, haven't you? You saw the Cardiff game. That was incredible. Attacking on the break. We just scored some amazing goals. But the game against Lincoln, kind of Evo was saying that he couldn't get to tell the team what he wanted them to do until it got to half time. So he lost 45 minutes. He knows that, we were 2-0 down and we didn't do well, but he couldn't get his message to the team, what he wanted them to do. So at half time, he just told them everything that he needed them to do, and that's why we played better second half. But he says, I lost 45 minutes. So what he's trying to do is train the players to be able to adapt to that situation against Lincoln and deal with it without him having to tell them how to deal with it. He wants them to know exactly when that happens, how to deal with like 5 at the back, big, massive lads, how we deal with that situation. We don't play the same way because we can't play that game that they were playing, that they were kind of set up to play, because Lincoln played a different way than they thought they were going to play. So if he can get it so that players read it on the pitch and can, you know, adapt to it, that's what he's trying to achieve, and hopefully he does. Yeah, she can see him scoring. Wigan will be fearing that, won't they? If he's fit and plays, they'll be thinking, oh, especially if he comes on as like a, I don't know, second half substitute or something. You know what happened. We've all seen it, haven't we, as Blackpool fans? One of our players comes on, bloody scores against us, and you know he's going to score against you, don't you? I think he'll bloody score. I knew Beasley would score against us against Burton Albion. I just knew he would. I just knew he would, and he did. You know what I mean? Because that's what happens, doesn't it? Former players come back and bloody score against you, you know. Bloody Lavery, you know what I mean? Well, I know he got injured there as well, like he got here, but he just was fit enough to come and bloody score 2 and create one against us when we played against him there. That's how it is, isn't it? Former players. So let's hope we can do some of that. Anyway, that's it. Hopefully, if you've enjoyed it, give the video a like. You know, YouTube likes that if you like it. If you really like it, you can always buy me a coffee. There's a QR code there. Would appreciate that if you like what we do. But it doesn't matter. I do it all for fun anyway. But I felt kind of, it felt good to be invited to something, you know, as if they actually don't hate me. I'm not public enemy number 1 to Blackpool Football Club. I try not to be so much, honestly. I try to be positive, and I try to make things positive. Sometimes I can't always be positive because it's really hard to take, you know. If I am a bit down sometimes, it's because it is really hard to do all this. But you know me, I just want Blackpool to do so well. I'm so behind them. I'd do anything for them. I did say, you know, I want to be part of the solution. I certainly don't want to be part of the problem. And of course, Jane's told me off as well that I've got to be careful. You know, she is my biggest critic. So there was a video where I'd said something in the video where I said, oh no, that was rubbish or something. And she said, don't you be saying that, because if you say that, thousands more will say that. So be very conscious of what you say and how you do it in your match day vlog. So I've kind of thought, yeah, you know what I mean. I can be a problem by being negative, or I can be positive. And today I've got lots of positive things to say to you. So if you're watching this on the rerun, I hope you've enjoyed it. I've waffled on, but I've tried to tell you all the great things. Oh, by the way, they were filming it, so I'd imagine they'll be putting together a video, so you'll all be able to see me ask me stupid Christmas thing. But anyway, Lee Charles with Lee Charles TV. Don't forget it's Christmas. We're terrible at Christmas. You always ruin all my Christmases. For God's sake, please win. So that's it. So hopefully you'll all see that. You'll also see me making a mug of myself. Take care. You too, Connor. Thanks for joining in. And anything you missed, just watch it. I did try and go through it as quick as I can. It's been great. Positive. I'm feeling good. Hope you're feeling good. I've rabbited on for, my God, over an hour and a half, so I've done enough. It was. Can't wait to watch you ask that question. Of course, I'll be there. Lee Charles, look out for it. Lee Charles from Lee Charles TV. I was one of the later questions. I didn't get in early. I could have got one of my people were asking. Well, actually, I said to Jane, I think I'm just going to watch. I won't say it. I wasn't going to say anything. So Jane says, can I just say something funny? And I thought, I don't have to think of anything funny while I'm there. But anyway, I tried to make people laugh about Christmas, but I don't know if it went down the right way. But it was there to try and plant. Just remember, I was trying to plant the seed into Evatt, into Crainey, into Dobbie, into Banks, not to ruin my Christmas. And let me make a happy video. I don't want to be walking through Middlesbrough fans as they're all celebrating, putting a happy Christmas tune over it and feeling like a piece of rubbish as I'm walking away. So depressed because they went and bloody scored a winner after we equalised. You remember that video, don't you? I was devastated. If you haven't watched that video, watch it and see me go through hell. Right. Thanks a lot for joining in Semi-Charm Life. I'm glad you got here in time and you're enjoying the live stream. It's always a pleasure to have you here. Pleasure to have all of you here. Thanks for supporting the channel. If you're watching this and you enjoyed it and you haven't subscribed, there's a little button down there. You can click on it and subscribe to the channel. Help me get to 10,000 one day in another in an alternate. Maybe there's a Lee Charles TV in an alternate universe that did something viral and has now got 100,000 subscribers. I'm not that Lee Charles in the multiverse. So help me get to 10,000. Help me be the Lee Charles in this multiverse that got to 10,000. And maybe one day I'll be the Lee Charles TV getting the same amount of subscribers as that Lee Charles TV in another multiverse. Right, I'm going. Well, that's for those people that follow, obviously, Marvel. If you don't follow Marvel, you don't have a clue what I'm talking about. Anyway, thanks a lot. I'll see you all. Thanks for tuning in. It's been great. I hope I've got the message out to you. It's down to us, you, me, everybody. I'm going to tell Pickle he's got to be more positive. These players are all, Crainey says, they're the most together bunch of brothers he's ever been with since the Holloway days. And he's been to different clubs and worked, and he says they're together. Evo said Simon Sadler is mad Blackpool. So yes, he might have racehorses, but he's mad Blackpool. He's going to help him. And I'll do anything I can to the club. And if you've watched this, Blackpool Football Club, I hope I did you proud. You invited me. I hope I've done what I said I would do to you. When I joined, I said, when I went in, I said, look, I'm going to do my best to tell everybody the joy, and I hope I've done. Anyway, thanks a lot for watching. And that's it. I'll see you. I don't know if I'll be at Wigan. I want to go, but it's just time. But anyway, if I don't go, I hope we win. I'll listen to it on the radio. Thanks a lot. See you all in the next one.